I'm Anastasia Chatzka, a fashion designer with over 20 years of experience and a sewing educator. And I'm really excited you're here to share another sewing adventure with me today. Welcome to Sewing Anastasia, and today we are going to make a sweatshirt. We are going to keep you warm and cozy all winter long. A sweatshirt is such an easy style to wear. You can really dress it up or dress it down depending on the fabrics you make it out of. I know I've seen lace sweatshirts with ribbed knit on the cuff and they're sheer, kind of sexy. You can make it out of a sweatshirt fleece, which I'm going to do today, which makes it a little bit more sporty and casual. You could embroider a sweatshirt. You could decorate and embellish a sweatshirt. There are so many different things you can do to a sweatshirt. So today I'm here to show you how to make a sweatshirt. If you're not already a subscriber to Sewing Anastasia, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when all my other awesome videos come out. Also, I'm now teaching virtual sewing lessons and lessons in person. You can find information about that at sewinganastasia.com or click that link down below. You're going to need a few basic supplies to make this sweatshirt. You're going to need some matching thread. You're going to need your rotary cutter and mat or some scissors. You're also going to need a pattern. If you don't have a sweatshirt pattern, I have one on my website that you can download under digital downloads. And this one is going to be a fitted sweatshirt in sizes extra small through extra large. You're also going to need some rib knit. And you're going to need a fabric to cut your sweatshirt out of. I'm going to be using a sweatshirt fleece, so it looks like a flat jersey on one side and a fleece on the inside. The first thing you need to do is print out your pattern. You could do this on a home printer, or you could send it into a large format printer like pdfplotting.com. So after you have your pattern cut out, it's going to look something like this. So we've got center back, which is going to be on fold here, cut one. We have the front pattern, which is going to be on fold, cut one. And we have the sleeve, which is going to be cut two. Now that you have your pattern cut out and ready to go, let's cut out our fabric. I have this sleeve laid out and I have the grain line parallel to my selvage. If your fabric has any stretch to it, you really want to make sure you follow your grain line. So grab your rotary cutter or scissors and let's cut it out. Next, we're going to cut out the front of the sweatshirt, which is on fold. Make sure you don't cut your center front because we need a full front bodice for the sweatshirt. Next, we're going to cut out the back of the sweatshirt, which is also on fold. Grab that rotary cutter and let's cut it out. Now that we have the sweatshirt all cut out, grab your rib knit because it's time to cut out the rib knit. The way we find the measurements for the rib knit is by measuring the hem of the back and the hem of the front. I've measured both of these and it comes out to 34 inches. Now you don't want to cut the rib knit the exact same. You want to go ahead and minus a few inches because the rib knit is super stretchy. And you'll notice that rib knit a lot of times is super stretchy and it brings in the sweatshirt a little bit and gives it that shape at the bottom. So depending on the stretchiness of your rib knit, the stretchiness of your sweatshirt, this could vary a little bit. A good rule of thumb is 2 inches less on the rib knit than the measurement of the waist of your sweatshirt. So I've measured my hem all the way around and including seam allowance, it's 34 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my rib knit at 32 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut right here at 32. Next, we're gonna measure the rib knit for the cuff. I like to go 1 inch shorter than the actual measurement of the opening. So this measured at 7, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut 2 rib knit cuffs at 6 inches long. I have 2 pieces of rib knit, which are on top of each other. And I'm gonna grab my quilting ruler, which is 6 inches wide. And then I can just line that up with the edge and go ahead and cut straight up. And now we have 2 cuffs. Next, we're gonna measure the neckline because we're also gonna be putting a rib knit around the neck. So grab your 2 pattern pieces and let's measure the front neck and the back neck. We're gonna measure the front neck and we're gonna measure the back neck. And you need to make sure you do ×2 because this is only half the pattern. And we also need to take out 1.5 inches because we have a 3/8 seam allowance here. So I measured my neckline and I got 15.5. So 15.5 times 2 is 31. So 31 minus 1.5 is 29.5. Then minus 2 inches for the stretch gives us 27.5. So I need to cut my rib knit 27.5 inches long. So I have my rib knit laid out and I have my ruler at 27.5. So we're ready to cut right through it. There we go. Now that we have everything cut out, including the rib knit, we are ready to serge this all together. If you don't have a serger, no worries. You can totally use a zigzag stitch or an overcasting stitch. Today I'm going to be using the Amber Air S400. You can use any serger or sewing machine that you have at home. The first step is going to be serging the shoulders together. So we want to line up our shoulder seams and go ahead and serge these up. Make sure you have your right sides together. Make sure you have your edges lined up. Now let's serge the shoulder together. That looks great. Now let's do the same thing to the other side. Now that you have your shoulders sewn together, it should look something like this. Next, we're gonna put the sleeve in, so grab your sleeves. We're gonna sew the cap of the sleeve into the armhole. So we wanna place right sides together and start at the underarm seam, and we're gonna work our way around, turning the sleeve into the armhole while we serge. So we're gonna start serging, and we're just gonna keep moving it and moving it and moving it until we get all the way down at the other side. And then we will have a sleeve in our armhole. So we're going to be sewing a convex and a concave curve to each other. If you need help serging curves, make sure you check out my video, Serging Corners and Curves. So let's line up our edges and sew this together. The best thing to remember is just keep everything lined up. I like to serge a little and then line up. So your sleeve sewn into the armhole should look something like this. So you can see that this is our shoulder and then our sleeve that got sewn in. Now you're gonna do the exact same thing to the other sleeve. Now we have both of the sleeves sewn into the armhole. It's time to sew up the underarm and the side seam. You can really see the sweatshirt taking shape right now that we have the arms on it. So you can really imagine what it's going to look like. Now we're gonna place right sides together and we're gonna serge together the underarm of the sleeve and the side seam of the body. And we're gonna do it in one stitch. Make sure your edges are together and even, and let's sew this up. Now do the exact same thing to the other side. Now we have the sleeves and the side seams sewn up and it is practically done. All we need to do is sew on the rib knit. So my rib knit has a stripe on it, but I only want the gray showing on the outside of my sweatshirt. So when I'm sewing this, you're gonna notice that my stripe is gonna be on the inside of my sweatshirt. If you like the stripe on your rib knit, totally make it show on the outside. The first thing I'm gonna sew are the cuffs and the rib knit. So we're gonna fold it lengthwise, so that way we're gonna sew the long raw edge here together. Okay, so line up your edges, right sides together. Now that we have it sewn up, we're gonna go ahead and fold it wrong sides together. So you wanna take it and flip the wrong side onto the wrong side. This way, the outside of the cuff is finished and the inside of the cuff is finished. Now we're gonna take the rib knit cuff and place it right sides together inside of the sweatshirt. Make sure you're lining up the underarm seam of your sweatshirt with the seam of the rib knit. So you should have 3 layers here. Let's go ahead and sew in a little circle. Make sure all your layers are nice and lined up. Now go ahead and do the exact same thing to the other side. And then it should look something like this from the inside. We have both of our cuffs sewn on and it's looking great. It's time to do the hem. Now grab the piece of rib knit that's for your hem and we're gonna place it right sides together and sew up the short side. Make sure your edges are lined up and let's sew it together. Now that it's sewn up, it should look something like this. Now flip it wrong sides together and let's sew it into the hem. So we're gonna flip the wrong sides together so that way we have a finished seam on the inside and the outside. So go ahead and flip those together. And then we're going to insert it into the hem. Remember, right sides are always together. So find your seam and line it up with one of the side seams. And now we are going to serge the rib knit to the bottom of the sweatshirt. So we're going to sew it in a circle. Make sure all 3 layers are nice and lined up, and let's serge them together. Now that we have the hem finished, it should look something like this from the inside. Now all we need to do is the neck, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take our raw edges and we're gonna sew them together on the short side, fold them wrong sides together, and sew it around the neck. Serging up the neck rib knit. I've lined up my seams with the shoulder seam, and now we just need to sew the neckband on. We finished it. All we need to do is turn it right side out and try it on, and we are gonna have a cozy new sweatshirt. Let's turn it right side out and check out our handiwork. Threads are always everywhere. Check out this super cozy sweatshirt. I am loving it. I finished the sweatshirt and it looks something like this. So we have a nice thick rib knit at the bottom, we have a fitted silhouette, we have rib knit at the cuffs, and we have a nice thick rib knit at the neck. So I made mine really wide. You don't have to make yours as wide. When it ends up real wide like this, sometimes you get a little bit of a flap here. You could go ahead and put a dart here and make it a V. You could go ahead and pull it and put a nice fancy button there. Or you just make the width of your rib knit at your neck smaller and it looks like a normal sweatshirt. But you know me, I'm always trying something new and getting creative. Thanks so much for watching Sew Anastasia today. If you have any questions about making a sweatshirt, make sure you leave it down below and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. And I would love to see your sweatshirt projects, so make sure you tag me at Sew Anastasia and send me photos because I would love to share them with everybody else and keep everybody inspired and sewing. As always, make sure you follow me on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all those other fabulous social media websites so we can stay connected and inspiring each other. I'm now teaching virtual sewing classes and in-person sewing classes. Information for all of that is on sewanastasia.com or check out that link down below. If you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, give it some applause, and share it with your family and friends. If you want to help grow Sew Anastasia, hop on over to Patreon, see all the ways that you can help grow Sew Anastasia. Just $1 a month keeps us going, growing, and sewing. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!